Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. Hope you're all doing well and enjoying your day so far. Major day in the Call of Duty world yesterday. The World Championship location and dates have been revealed. Certainly some mixed reaction from the pros to this one, and definitely on the challenger side, where the CDL have made some very questionable decisions indeed. And after a few words from Methodz to Shotzzy, he's clapped back with a bit of a response, suggesting that Boston might not even be at the World Championship this year. Very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comment section below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you're new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. Really upset the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that one. Firstly, just wanted to mention we will discuss ROASTS later on today. Lots of talk right now. Vivid, Florida, what's going on with that team, what's going on with Los Angeles Guerrillas. But today there's plenty else to discuss, mainly on the, well, at least first of all, on the venue side of things for these remaining events. Firstly, as Carly points out, this apparently is what the venue looks like, not for the World Championship, but for the Major 4 in New York. This honestly looks stunning, so looking forward to seeing how they pull this one off. But the venue for the World Championship, I believe, is exactly the same as what we had last season, right? It gets confirmed right here by the CDL. All systems go. Champs is locked in. They do like a, classic video right here. Kind of funny some of the pros they include on this one, right? Because they've got players that might not be making it, let's just say. Some of these players, like, I mean, even the Los Angeles Guerrillas guys, I imagine, are certainly in discussion and potentially not making it as well. And Boston will see here in a few minutes' time. But yeah, Los Angeles, of course, I guess it's Slash's hometown. They're going to use some of the LA players as well. Slash's from California, and he's not exactly sure what city he was brought up in. But yeah, it's Los Angeles. It's at Champs in LA, August 4th through the 7th. It's absolutely classic stuff. First of all, I must say, Champs is earlier this year than it usually is. Last year, it was in the same venue, I believe, in LA. They always seem to do it in LA. Next year, they might do it in London or whatever. Like, we heard some brief rumors it might be in Las Vegas, but they do always tend to do it in California, which can also be kind of bad for European viewer times and stuff like this as well. But it's also like a couple of weeks earlier than last year, right? I don't really understand how the CDL have managed to pull this off. That last year, people said, okay, yeah, there was quite a lot of Call of Duty last year. There wasn't much downtime. There were 5 stages, right? And still, they had Champs in about August 22nd, I believe it finished, to have September, August, or September, October was the off-season. Then in November, the game comes out again. And yes, this year, in fairness, the new game comes out about 2 weeks earlier than it did last year. Therefore, the off-season length after Champs is going to be about the same. But like, I don't understand really how the season is only 6 months long. The season started probably in February, right, with the start of stage 1, and it finishes in August 6 months later. It's like, I don't understand how the season is possibly so short. They've got to think about that next year, but that's kind of, my initial complaint on the matter. But, it's understandable they're going to do it in LA. It's kind of classic stuff. Now, as Clay says, initially he thought that the Galen Center, I believe, where they're doing it again, right here, Galen Center, whatever, where they did it last year, I believe, was where he won the World Championship back in 2019. But as Assault says, that was actually the Pauley Pavilion, right? So he gets this one wrong. He has to delete this tweet, unfortunately, because he's basically said, look, well, when we did the Champs there last, like, I was on top, right? And then he says, actually, no, it wasn't true. When we set foot at the Galen Center, we won that one big match last year against Optic Chicago 3-2, and I'm pretty sure the first round or something. And then after that, he didn't go particularly well, right? So I thought it was kind of funny from the Clayster side. But as Parasay will be watching from afar, they more than likely, well, they almost certainly won't be going. I'm pretty sure if they do go 5-0 and win Major 4, they could technically get through, but I feel like it's not going to happen, right? There's no point even dwelling on that fact, to be honest. But yeah, Los Angeles, August 4th through 7th, tickets available in a couple of weeks' time. But the big drama really was about the Challengers Finals, because, of course, the Challengers World Championship effectively is going on at the same location and the same date. We'll only have 8 teams. This is kind of incredible to me, because the Challengers side, from my perspective, kind of does a lot of things right that the kind of main pro side actually doesn't, when they have a lot of online tournaments, or they have a lot of tournaments, a lot of playtime in general in the Challenger scene. They also do like double best of 5 in grand finals, stuff like this. Like, it's kind of formatted in such a way as to what it used to be like in Call of Duty back in the day in the professional circuit. So I thought what they would do for the World Championship for the amateur sides, they would have, at least 16, if not like 32 teams from around the world do what effectively we used to do in the pro side back in the day. Now, Champs, as it's called for the professional circuit, for the CDL side, is basically just playoffs, right? The top 8 teams go to a playoffs, they play a playoffs, someone wins. That's effectively how it works. It's not a World Championship as it was before, when you had 32 teams from all around the world battling it out in, group play, then into a massive bracket. I thought they might do that for Challengers, but no, only 8 teams are going to be there. This is honestly a remarkable format, like, and there's been so many complaints about this, and understandably so. 4 qualify from the global leaderboard, and an awful lot of the points acquired for the global leaderboard are acquired through effectively online tournaments. That means regions where teams stick together more often and are more top-heavy, like Europe, will actually be favoured here very heavily in a lot of the online tourneys they play, as opposed to North America, where teams are constantly changing around, but maybe the competition at the top is much higher, at least in terms of like who's winning on a regular basis. Therefore, North American teams, if anything, get punished here. We'll see this in a second. And then only 4 qualify from the LCQ, and that's just 1 from each region. So you could argue here that the North American scene is actually getting punished. As Paul X says, that is stupid respectfully, because as Assault says, this might be the worst format I've ever seen. Need to change ASAP. We'll see if they actually listen to any feedback on this, because I certainly think there's so many reasons why this is terrible. First of all, the 8 teams is bad enough, but as Parasite says, regions with more competitive standings get punished. So the other regions, I'm pretty sure, like, I'm not sure Exceed is right on the money here, but we'll kind of explain it. This is the way it works. 4 teams that go through from the leaderboards, and then 4 qualify through last chance qualifiers in each region, 1 from NA, 1 from EU, 1 from APAC, and 1 from Latin America. Now that part is fine, but it's kind of this overall leaderboard thing here, which is very frustrating to a lot of, well, North American players especially, because that comes down to global challenger points, and an awful lot of that actually goes down to the European side, because as he says, I'm pretty sure the top 8 of the Toronto LAN that just happened were all North American teams. None of those were European or APAC teams or Latin American teams that got top 8 at that event. All of them were North American, but because of the way the things work out with the fact that the LAN actually doesn't count for any more than the online play in this kind of format they're doing, then it's actually the European teams that get favoured here, right? So as Chrome points out, these are the 4 teams with the most points that will, as it currently stands, automatically qualify for the Challengers World Championship, Ultra Academy NA, Ultra Academy EU, Team War, and Rokkr Academy, right? So 3 of these teams are from Europe, only 1 is from North America, and a lot of that comes down to the fact that there's a lot more competition at the top in the North American side, as in there's no kind of clear dominant team outside of Ultra Academy North America, right? So like this just means that as it currently stands, 4 European teams will go to the World Championship. These 3 plus 1 from the last chance qualifier from Europe, only 2 from North America will go, which it just does not seem right at all. So definitely there's a lot of frustration about this. And as Doug says, which is of course another implication of this format, right, that if there is a last chance qualifier where teams can get through, because of course like Doug's team is not going to be top 4 here, a lot of teams are not going to be able to make it top 4 in kind of global challenger standings by this point in the season. So what they should try and do is get through the LCQ for one of the regions, right? 1 Latin American team, 1 APAC team, one of the teams from these regions has to make it through. Therefore, if you're Doug, you're thinking, okay, well, why don't we just move to Australia and then try and win that spot, right? We could win the LCQ in that local region and qualify for champs, even though we might not be anywhere near the 8th best team in the world. So Doug's wondering how on earth you can even try and justify this. Like, he ended up deleting these tweets, and he ended up deleting this one as well, because I'm not sure whether Mexico counts as, whether it actually counts as Latin America, or whether it counts as being part of North America. But this is the timeline we're living in, right? So Doug was thinking, okay, how do we get this LATAM spot? Why don't we just move to that region and try and get through the LCQ there, right? And he talked to Yannick Garcia. You guys know the story, Doug and Yannick Garcia back in the day. And he reached out to her, apparently. I don't know if he's just joking here, right? And this probably isn't going to happen anyway, due to the reasons I just described. But apparently she told him that, apparently, yeah, you're free to use a house for the next couple of months, bring the whole team in. And as he says, my team will be representing LATAM Challengers to conclude the Vanguard season. I'm guessing he was just joking around here, at least to some degree. But given the format the CDL have proposed for this actually is a reasonable option, right? If you're not going to qualify in the North American or the European side, like, just head out to Australia or Latin America and try and get their spot instead from the last chance qualifier. So unbelievable scenes. Like, this is a much better way to do it. I think 32 teams, 16 from NA, 10 from EU. Then you really get the best team actually is going to win the entire thing, rather than just a playoffs copy for the challenger side. So that's frustrating. Loads of feedback on this. I'm sure the CDL will actually have to have a look at some of this stuff and think about whether the way they're trying to do it currently is actually the best way, because it is most certainly not. Of course, Clayster's current team might not even qualify based on the way the format is at the moment. He had a nice couple of clips going down right here. I believe he was playing the Elite yesterday and was kind of dominating on people. But yeah, Scump has some thoughts to say on actually the World Championship as it is right now. The frustrations with kind of, well, he was kind of thinking, okay, it's in LA again, classic stuff. Like, why don't we do it in Texas? And one of the reasons why he might want to do it in Texas is, as Crimsix pointed out last year, he's got very frustrated with the CDL and actually having all these tournaments in high tax states, let's just say. Like, if you do these tournaments in Los Angeles, you lose a massive chunk effectively of that prize money immediately to state and federal taxes, whereas if you do it, for example, in Texas, you don't have to pay anywhere near as much. I'm sure that's on Scump's mind to a degree, but this was an initial reaction to it, saying that he'd much prefer to actually do it in Texas.
Champs in LA? No way. No way. Are they actually? Champs in Frisco? Bro, let's have champs in Arlington. Deadass. Let's play at the Esports arena, home field. Yo, you know what's funny, bro? Nah, never mind. I'm not gonna say that. Never mind, man. I'm just gonna piss people off. I'm just gonna piss people off if I say that. Say it. No, I'm not saying it.
Now, the guys were playing some golf with friends right here, Shotzzy, Scump, and I think Zoom was involved, and Methodz was involved as well, most certainly. And then eventually they were just playing back and forth, and Shotzzy had a few words to say for Methodz right here, where Methodz kind of has a bit of a dig at him, and then he comes back and says, well, like, you're not even going to make the World Championship, mates. Like, you better focus on that one before you start talking trash, effectively, is what he was getting at right here. So yeah, definitely treat your respect on this one. But yeah, who knows if Boston Roof are going to make it, because right now, if they don't make any moves, it's looking rather unlikely.
That's a 7. That's 7.
What? I'm in second last? Hey, you're horse.
Yeah, you're like what? Not making chances?
Oh, what the Yo, Ant's a weird guy. Ant's a weird guy. I'm not even gonna reply to that.
What?
Just know it speaks to your character, not mine.
Dude.
What the hell am I playing?
You like that?
So these are how the standings currently look. Boston in 6th, technically at 130, but we've seen how quickly these standings can change. Seattle were pretty much in the drop zone. They've moved up to 3rd place now pretty comfortably. So the teams below them, Los Angeles Guerrillas, LA Thieves, Minnesota, they're pretty good online. Florida, they're going to make a move. So like, I think realistically, there's a couple of teams here that could well overtake Boston. Them dropping down to 9th is going to be difficult, but it's very plausible based on the way their schedule looks here for this stage. It's very likely indeed they'll be in the losers bracket again for Major 4 and not pick up many points at all, especially if they don't make any changes. The rumor has it this team is sticking as it is. The SMG duo has not been firing particularly well lately. TJ's been okay. Methodz has fallen off drastically from his Major 2 performances. So like the way they're playing right now, I don't think they're, well, on form to make the World Championship, right? And they're not even making any changes to try and improve their roster going into the final event of the season. That at least is the present rumor. Now, this is their schedule for Major 5. Like, if they can come out of this in the winners bracket and actually put some points up on the board, like, I'm going to be very impressed. I feel like the teams below them should be overtaking them because they play Optic as their first game, they play Thieves their second game, which might be winnable, but like, I mean, Thieves are a pretty solid team. So anyway, they play Optic, they play Thieves, they then play Seattle, the champions, they then play Los Angeles Guerrillas, which is, okay, still a winnable game, but that's probably their only easy one at the stage because their final game is up against Toronto, right? So pretty much all the games they play, Toronto, Seattle, they play both LA teams and Optic. Like, if they go 1-4 there, that's pretty much what I'd expect from this Boston team, to be honest. So let's say they did go 1-4, they'd be at 140 points. Let's say they go to the major and get beaten in the first round again, they'd be stuck on 140. And I'm not sure 140 is going to be enough here to qualify for the World Championship based on the runs that Minnesota might try and make and Florida Meets Niz as well with their changes they're looking to do as well. They might make it to champs, but if they do, I feel like they'll just be scraping over the line, to be honest. Like, all the teams above them are probably going to continue to pull away. So like, I mean, yeah, Shotzzy might have a point there, right? To Methodz is probably thinking, okay, damn, maybe I shouldn't have said that because Shotzzy's kind of got me there, especially because he probably does feel at risk, Methodz, of not making the World Championship right now, as of course would be understandable. Couple of things to finish up the video here with. Firstly, this actually from Breaking Point is this Dashy's best season so far. His numbers so far this year are remarkable. Like, I mean, Cellium's numbers, I'm sure we'll look at them in the coming days as well, are equally ridiculous, to be honest. And he actually had a negative KD in a game or two in Major 3 or the entirety of Stage 2 with a 0.97, but everything else is equally ridiculous. His control, if anything, actually got better in Major 3 than it did earlier on in the season, where I thought it was like as good as it was going to get. He had a 1.44 in control this stage, which yeah, still absolutely outrageous, to be honest. Yeah, team overall rating, he's kind of been far above. Like, he had his Black Ops 4 year was spectacular. Since then, he's been a great player, of course, outside of, let's just say, Modern Warfare, right? When things didn't go particularly well, not to game in Los Angeles. But yeah, so far this year, he's absolutely been ridiculous. Makes sense for sure. Next year, we're going back to a Modern Warfare game. We'll see how that one plays out. This, the rest of the team, Prolut's picture's kind of funny here because they don't really have a proper headshot of him. So this is kind of the mock-up, the Lion Man raid right here. He looks alright here, to be fair, but it was interesting how Prolut's Search and Destroy started off so well in Stage 3 and then at the end, it actually has a slightly negative KD, but interesting numbers regardless. And just to finish up with this clip as well, definitely a moment to forget for Seth, Scumpy Abner, but very much intrigued to your thoughts and all this stuff in the comment section below. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, hit on a like button and told you YouTube gods, that's a good video. And I was like, you should see it as well. And I hope great the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you as always, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you next time.